For me personally, everything started with this photograph. It is the first photograph of the Earth made by a man. And it was a little bit confusing. It was during Apollo 8, and they even don't know who took this photograph, but they suppose it was William Anders. For me it was very important for several reasons, but most of all I was shocked because I had a complete other view of the Earth. I saw the Earth like a globe in a school room with the difference between land and water. And here I saw that the image of the Earth is made by the clouds. And clouds are dynamic. So at that moment I was studying, it was 68, not May 68, but December 68. And I was studying architecture, and at that moment I was shocked also by or I have to say, I understood the full sentence of Buckminster Fuller, spaceship Earth. And for me it's a very nice term, because spaceship Earth does me to think about solidarity in things to move. We have always something as a solidarity in a plane, in a ship, in a train, because we are literally all in the same environment, and we have all the same problems, let's say, to live with. 68 was also the area when modernism in architecture was a little bit, we started to rethink modernism. And at that time modernism was like building authoritarian, even totalitarian apartments. But for me, modernism is also another thing. This is the icon of the modern city. Plan Ville Radieuse, the Radiant City, made by Le Corbusier, presented in Brussels in 1930 for the, I think, the 4th CM conference. This is really the icon of the modern city, and it's completely different than the buildings we saw before. I show you. You can imagine that building in this city. Here you see that every person in the city can express himself in the city, because Le Corbusier was so aware that the form of the city was so strong that everything that human being added into the city was to enhance the view of the city, the image of the city. And also, and this is very important, it was not only buildings to live in, not only housing, but there were schools, there were crashes, I don't know in English, and so on, and sport infrastructure, and so on. Here there was things, amenities in the city for everyone. When we move the amenities away, then yes, then we have authoritarian and totalitarian cities. So this was also very important for me, to understand that modernism was much more than we saw in 68. So I thought we have to start not with I have to say that modernism, in fact, reinvented urbanism, because it was the first time that they saw the city as a complete thing, with all the functions around, with all the amenities around. And maybe I thought that is not enough for the 21st century, because maybe we have to think about the cities, we have to question the cities themselves. And so I thought urbanism, that's the way we have to think. And urbanism doesn't mean that we have to think to design the whole world, but we have to think about the Earth, about spaceship Earth. And on spaceship Earth, I think there are two scales to see. On the one side, the human being or the family, and on the other side, the scale of the Earth. That's the important thing. So, for example, scale of the human being. I formulated some proposals in between 71 and 80 maybe, over the 20th century. A lot of proposals, and I'm very happy to see that much of those proposals are realized today. And it's not what I want to say about, I always said when I wrote those proposals, good proposals realize themselves. And I'm quite happy that they are, a lot of them are realized today. I like very much the proposal to shoot nuclear waste to the sun. It's dangerous, but one is away, no problem anymore. And the other one I like very much is not a proposal, but it's an advice to close the zoo. I think in the 21st century, zoos are a little bit archaic. I like more to see animals in the wild on movies, and if you want to see them in reality, you can make, how is it called? Safaris, yeah. Or you can go to a natural museum and then you see whole stuffed animals, you can even touch them. But here, the other scale, the Earth, and this is a picture that I like very much. You see in the middle a star, a red star, and that stands for a laptop. And then you see all the materials coming from all over the world to make a laptop here in Hasselt. So we have to think about the scale of the Earth. It's very important. We can go further and further by looting and pillaging the world. We have to be aware. I'm an architect, so I think as an architect that when we are very large, but not everything is usable. Antarctic, I don't think it's very usable. Maybe happily that they can't exploit Antarctic. And there are mountains that's also difficult, and there are big sand surfaces on Earth, and so on and so on. Or another scale study. The same, the white is the surface all the people on Earth need today for housing. And the colored one are all the amenities of the cities. And we put it all over Belgium. And then you see, wow, there is really a lot of place on Earth. Another scale study. It's very easy to study how many surface we have per person on Earth. In any atlas you use, you can find a surface of land on Earth. You can divide it by the all the people who are on Earth. Today, because it's quite recent, today, so we have still 2.1 hectare per individual. It's a lot. And then I calculate further, and then you do a little bit manipulation. And then I see that per family there is still a little bit more than a half hectare to live. So you could say people who live on a larger land surface, they live impolite. So we have to rethink to use space on Earth. I give one example. I love always, I'm from Antwerp, and I always thought, and I always think that the harbor of Antwerp is too big. And I give an example. This is the harbor left bank, on the left bank. When I was a little child, they learned to me that that land was the most fertile land on Earth. So we put a slurry over the most fertile land on Earth to make a harbor. Look how many ships are in the harbor. That's one thing. And then here, this is a parking lot for used cars to go to Africa. If they had bought the land for the harbor of Antwerp on a fair price, then it was organized like this. But one more dock, and it's much more easier to put cars on ships because you can go on 8 decks immediately. 8 decks, parking lot, 8 decks on the ship. It's much easier. A small example. So maybe we have to think, speaking as an architect, urbanist, we have to think less is less. I really think we are constructing too much. And not only too much, but the wrong things. It's clear that in the 80s, the 90s, it was better to construct schools in place of shopping centers. We have too much shopping centers, too less schools. So that's why I formulate this less is less. That's a little bit a joke. Mies van der Rohe, a very known architect, said, less is more. He was right. And then in the 70s, Venturi said, no, less is not more. And Remcolas, he said, more is more. When you like to build in Dubai, you have to say more is more. So I thought maybe we have to say now as architects, less is less. Sometimes to not construct is better than to construct. So I thought as an architect maybe I can fulfill my ambitions not with concrete blocks but with Lego blocks. So I started to make constructions with Lego blocks. And it's architecture because when I was constructing this, I was thinking about order and chaos. It's very important for architects because humankind needs order. But humankind needs order to have the possibility to make chaos. And it is a kind of equilibrium. I refer to one of the first images I showed with the city, a very big order, but then everybody constructs its own house in the structure. Some other examples. Order and chaos. For example, in this obelisk, everything is at random, but not the red blocks. They are symmetrically posed. And this is here, this is the axe, the symmetry axe. Yeah, so I was constructing as an architect models with structures with Lego. But then afterwards, maybe I have to stop with the Lego blocks and I can use containers. In the beginning, I used small containers from electric trains to make constructions. Afterwards, I made them in reality triumphal arches, obelisks, bridges, sculptures. And this is the very last I did in Brussels. It's still standing there today with one container. I always thought for an architect, architecture is in between the ears. It's not because something is not built that it isn't architecture. And on the other side, it's not because it's built that it's architecture. So I think architects have to make theoretical architecture or paper architecture. Not only, but it's very important. Because I see now very often, maybe always, that for architects there is only a problem when they got a commission. Without commission, no problem. Commission, wow, all kinds of things they found out. This, I'm quite proud about this project. It's a very clear concept. The concept to build a tower and to build next to the tower horizontally. So you see the scale of the tower. When I was making this, the idea was in architecture, the most obvious theme is symmetry. It's quite easy because everybody understands symmetry. A child is born and the first thing he sees is his mother, and his mother is symmetrical. So everybody knows it. So I thought maybe I have to think about something that everybody understands also immediately. And then I thought a tower and a line tower, a horizontal tower. Another project, I made this 86, I think, from the 19th century, the 20th century. The same. In the beginning of the 80s, everybody was talking about the high-speed train, but also with words. And then I thought, yeah, maybe we have to show how it's possible to make a high-speed line. And this was the idea for a high-speed line above Brussels. And then, yeah, now it evolves. This is a study I did about amenities of the city. because it's very important, amenities. 10 plates, very illegible plates of 10 kinds of amenities. This is one to show you have the inhabitants, the Ixas are the inhabitants, and the more inhabitants there are in the city, the more cultural amenities they need. But it's not right. That's why we called it an adapted city. Here it's the same thing, but in a usable spreadsheet. And then studies for models. We always made linear models for 2 reasons. I think, and then I say, why I said maybe we have to think, to question the cities. In a network society, maybe the connections between the hubs, the cities, are as important as the hubs. That's why we made linear models. The second thing is, when you have linear models, you can do everything with a linear structure. You can note them, you can weave them, you can, what do you call it, that, and so on and so on. I've paused because that's the last model we did of an adapted city. And you see we integrated the idea of horizontally and vertically buildings. And the last project we are studied since 2006, urban space. We tried to develop a study about public space, but on urban scale. I thank you very much.